Fox 40 sports director Chris Tavares has boots on the ground in the city of the brotherly love to give us a preview of what's to come.
The 49ers have a tall task in front of them this weekend as the road team here in Philadelphia. Over the course of the past 9 seasons, the visitors are a combined 4-14 in conference championship games. That's why that number 1 seed is so important, because you get home field advantage. And Philadelphia certainly has that. The last time they hosted the NFC Championship game back in 2018, they beat the Vikings en route to winning Super Bowl 52. Now, since Brock Purdy took over at quarterback, he's only had to play in 2 road games. In Las Vegas in an old NorCal rivalry showdown, and then in Seattle in what is historically one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL.
That was huge just because that was our first game really all year that it was that important, and Brock hadn't had experience with it, and so it was great to have that, especially with us going to Philly. I remember us talking about that week that we needed that. We needed that rep in case we ended up in the NFC Championship at Philly, and we got that, and I feel we're good to go. He knows what to expect. He knows how we do it.
Like everything, you know, in these kind of games is all about communication. How can you operate smoothly, get in and out of the huddle, get the play off in the right way, make sure everyone's on the same page. So that's definitely a big emphasis this week.
Seattle, we did good. Obviously, that's one of the loudest stadiums in America. So that's probably the biggest test when you talk about noise. It's a little bit more than just the noise that comes with that place. You know, those fans, they make a difference. They get under your skin, you know, they yell at you. They don't stop.
We now bring in our Sean Cunningham to help preview the game. Now, we heard about how the crowd is going to be a factor. They're certainly prepared for that. What's a wild card factor that we haven't talked about yet when it comes to Sunday?
I think the easy one to pick is just the special teams. I mean, we've been over at Lincoln Financial Stadium and looking at the way things look. I mean, that stadium's wide open. It's not like Levi's Stadium, which is a little bit more closed off, and certainly they deal with wind in the Bay Area. Philadelphia, it's been windy here the entire time we've been here. It might be a little bit windy on Sunday as well. So if there's a right man for the job, it's Robbie Gould. He's been fantastic in the postseason, and he's used to kicking in windy cities. And in addition to the 49ers in the Bay Area, he's started his career with the Chicago Bears in the windy city. So I kind of feel like special teams could be a little bit of a problem for this.
Now, talking about some of the weather, as you mentioned, it's been windy here. It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be too bad. It's kickoff is around 50 degrees is what the forecasters have been saying. It's going to be dry to start the game, maybe a little drizzle in the second half. And to say that Robbie Gould has been fantastic in the playoffs, he's been perfect. He's never missed a PAT or a field goal attempt in the postseason in his NFL career. Now, special teams were almost a factor in that win over the Cowboys because you had Ray McLeod on that punt return fumble it. And the Niners have been great about holding on to the football. They have a great turnover margin, but that one could have cost them. The defense, though, buckled down, limited Dallas to just a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown. Now, let's talk about Brock Purdy because you can't talk enough about this guy. Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, just barely makes the 53-man roster as a third-string quarterback, but here he is now leading the Niners into the NFC Championship.
Yeah, and every time I hear Brock Purdy's name, Chris, I just think of Nate Sudfeld, the backup. And if you don't remember him, he's a former Eagles backup. He won a Super Bowl back in the 2017-2018 Super Bowl, but didn't play. He was their backup, comes to San Francisco, hoping to back up Trey Lance. And Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo was going to factor in there somehow, but they had to make a cut before training camp. Nate Sudfeld ended up being the guy. So Mr. Irrelevant has, in my opinion, his toughest battle all year, which is making the 53-man roster. He does that, and it comes at the expense of Nate Sudfeld, the former Modesto Christian high school star from Salida. Just an incredible talent, the guy who's run around and backed up a lot of players, and he landed a job immediately. He's now backing up Jared Goff in Detroit.
And now let's talk about what you and I have got to experience here in Philadelphia. We've been here for a little over 24 hours. I don't like to make it about us, but we've had a good time. We've eaten some cheesesteaks. We've checked out the Rocky Steps, Rocky statue, or the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall. What's something that's really stood out to you?
I'm a little surprised that, look, pageantry is everything. The city is a brilliant sports city. But San Francisco and the Bay Area, they kind of rep the Niners a little bit better than what they do here, in my opinion, at least earlier. I mean, look, you've got green lights behind us on these buildings. We got to go to the art museum, the Rocky Steps, where you hurdled up those things in about 30 seconds after eating 2 cheesecakes, I might add.
Cheesesteaks. We haven't had any cheesecake yet.
Cheesesteaks, I might add. But certainly, Mr. Physical Fitness here runs right up those steps and takes it down easily. And then the next day, they put up a big Eagles banner. I'm a little surprised that they didn't put that up on Monday. Maybe Tuesday. They had to wait a little until Friday to put that up. Come on, get that up a little earlier. But this city loves their sports. They love their Eagles, and it's going to be a rowdy atmosphere.
I'm really excited to check out the tailgate scene outside of the link because that's such a cool complex they have there in South Philly because you got the baseball stadium, you've got the arena, and you've got Lincoln Financial Field all right there. So it should be a great atmosphere pre-game, in-game, and depending on how the game goes, maybe post-game, maybe not, but that's going to be my question to you. How do you think that game will go on Sunday?
Oh, man, I think it's going to be a fantastic one, first off. I mean, I think this is the better than any Super Bowl matchup we might see in Glendale, Arizona. I think it's better one of the weekend matchups, and I got to go with the Niners, man. I'm going to go with the better defense in this one. I mean, I know the Eagles aren't very far behind them, but what they've been able to do propel them to 12 straight victories with a rookie quarterback who hasn't tasted this success yet. And you've got experience. I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. I think I like them 32-28. I don't know if that matters. I don't care. They could win 1-0, 2-0. 1-0 is impossible. 2-0 maybe. Let's try that.
I'm going to say it's a field goal game. I've said this already. I think it comes down to the field goal late. I almost want to be the contrarian and go with Philly. They're a 2.5-point favorite. They've got home field advantage. I think I've said on air already earlier today that I think the Niners. So, I have no idea how it's going to go. I'm just expecting a good game that comes down to the wire. Kirsten, let's send it back to you.